Hi, good evening. It is January the 5th, Wednesday, January the 5th. It's a little after 7, and this is Keto Confab for 2022. Woo! New year. And I am Elizabeth Hanson, your host, and my husband is supposed to be here soon. Dr. Scott Hanson hosts these meetings with me, and we decided to go keto about a year ago. And we have seen amazing changes in our lives and for our family since we went keto a year ago. And this meeting is to support others who want to be and live on the keto lifestyle. Since this is our first meeting of the new year, we are going to
Let's play a game. Okay.
we are going to begin with a review of how we think we did on our keto journeys last year and how we want to proceed on our keto journeys this year and what we might change up and do different this year. So to get us warmed up and going, I'll start with me. So last year was my first year on keto, and I started keto at 310 pounds. And I was able to lose 100 pounds, amazingly enough, by my 60th birthday, which was my goal. And I do have another 80 pounds to go. But beyond that, my husband says Zoom will not let him join the meeting. So I'm going to tell him to try again. But
Okay, could I tell you? I tried to join with the old link too, and it didn't work.
oh
So
yeah, the old link
I
doesn't
went to
work.
your Facebook thing, and
Mhm.
I clicked on the link that you gave on Facebook, and that worked.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that you sent to me as a message on Messenger today worked perfect. It took a moment for it to go, oh yeah, but it got me on.
Yeah, it's a new link because what I do is I do these meetings in 12 or 13 week lumps, and then we'll take a week break, and then I'll start anew, just for my account with Zoom, because I'm so tech impaired. Anyway, so I was also part of my reason for going keto was my health. My blood pressure was running typically 180 to 200 over 80 to 90. Most of the time, my blood sugars were borderline diabetic. I had not been diagnosed as diabetic, but they were borderline. And my liver enzymes were nasty, really bad. And, I had a general practitioner who was threatening to put me on a huge long list of medications. And I don't tolerate medications very well. I have a lot of sensitivities and allergies to medications. And I found Dr. Boz's book, and I just felt like it was something that was going to change my life. And I decided to do keto, and I told my husband that he could join me, or maybe he didn't want to join me. Okay, but I was doing this, and he decided to join me, which was great. And we've been doing keto all year. So now for this year, I want to lose an additional 60 to 80 pounds. I don't know exactly how much I want to lose because I have been very, very overweight and obese for a very long time. And I know that if I get down to 150 pounds, I'm a little scrawny. And but at 180 pounds, I feel a little pudgy. So I don't know how much more I want to lose, but what I do want to do is I want to maintain my blood sugars in that nice 70 to 80 number. I want to keep my blood pressure where it is at 120/80. And I want to keep my liver enzymes excellent, which they have been the last 2 times I've had testing. So, you know, those are my goals for this year is, yes, lose more weight, but I want to maintain my health because I'm an old chick and I want to be around on the planet, but I want to be around on the planet healthfully. And so now how am I going to do that this year? I have to incorporate more fasting. Last year, I just kind of toyed with fasting. I did the intermittent fasting where I would go 18 or 20 hours without eating, and then I'd have a meal, and then I'd go another 18 to 20. I got that down pat. But as Dr. Boz says, when you get deeper into ketosis and into doing keto lifestyle, you do have to stress your metabolism from time to time with a fast to get the body to release those stores of glycogen and open up those fat stores to release the ketones. And I am pretty sure I have plenty of storage to empty. Now that my liver is healthy and my blood sugars are good, I think that I can easily and healthfully and without problems go on to fasting. I did dabble a little bit in the longer fasts. I did some 36-hour fasts, but not every week and not every month either. But I didn't want to go too very fast and cause myself to, you know, get discouraged or frustrated with the whole fasting thing, because I think it's a whole nother level when you're just trying to eat keto and avoid those carbs and deal with all the cravings that you have when you first go keto. Then I didn't want to impose on it the whole fasting stuff. I can't eat yet kind of thing. And I wanted to give my metabolism a good long period of time to be fat adapted so that I wouldn't have any stressors or problems by doing the fasts. I know I'm doing keto slow, slow and easy, because I really can't afford sick days. And I don't like feeling yucky with the keto flu. So I eased into keto by slowly lowering my carbs for 2 months and then really hit it hard the 1st of January last year, trying to stay at that 20 carb threshold. And so it's a journey for me. It's a slow, steady pace. And of course, along the way, all sorts of emotional things happen. I just purchased a new Audible book about emotional eating, and I'm hoping that will help me, because the first thing I want to do when I'm frustrated or stressed or overtired is grab for some chocolate or something. And I know that's not what I should do. I know it doesn't benefit my liver or my heart or my brain. And so I need to work on those issues, because keto isn't just about food. It's also about our whole lifestyle and about dealing with our emotions without food, not without food. Anyway, I'd like to welcome Jenny, who showed up. Thanks for coming, Jenny. And Scott did make it on, yay. And Jenny, would you like to share where your keto journey was this last year and where you want to take it this new year?
Oh, I can't get my video to work. I'm sorry, but
Oh, it's okay.
didn't do anything different. But hi, everybody. Well, I've been doing, I guess, lazy keto for a couple or 3 years off and on. But then I found Dr. Boz in September, just of this past year, with the 20 total carbs. And I've been trying to do that, except during the holidays, I kind of jumped off the wagon. I jumped off the ship into the deep end. But I really, and then birthdays, my daughter's birthday was yesterday, but we're celebrating yesterday and then again on Saturday. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to be careful with very limited carbs over the days that we're not celebrating birthdays. But when there's a big family gathering, I just can't say no. I have to live life. But
Mhm.
after I found Dr. Boz and I started watching her videos and so forth, and I got I bought her course and watched the carbs very consistently, like I was supposed to. I moved into the 23-and-1 pretty quickly because I was doing that before, most of the time. But I lost 18 pounds really without even trying. And I really am not, I'm almost to my goal weight, but I'm really not doing it for the weight itself. I have a history of breast cancer and there's alcoholism in my family, a lot of heart disease in my family and high blood pressure and just a lot of health problems. I'm not sure about Alzheimer's because most of my family didn't live past 75 and I'll be 75 in a couple of months. So I've tried all my life to kind of be careful of what I eat and exercise, and with the low carb and keto is really, the more I've read about it, the healthier I want to be into my 90s. And my grandkids love to see me and they love to be around me. And my 12-year-old granddaughter, last summer, we were walking and everybody was way behind. And my 12-year-old granddaughter ran up. She says, "I'm going to walk with you, Graham. You're the healthy one." So it just makes me smile to know that my grandkids want to be around me, and to know that I'm energetic, that I can do that. And it just makes my heart soar.
Mhm.
And so when I during the holidays and birthdays and such, and when I eat sugar, I can't eat just one or two cookies. I have to have a plate full. So I mean, I'm definitely addicted. So, and last night my daughter wanted lace cookies, which is just brown sugar and butter and oatmeal. And they're delicious, and they're so crunchy, but I ate way too many and I felt sick all day long today, even though I had black coffee for breakfast, which I always do. And then I had sardines, and then that sort of kind of upset my stomach. And so anyhow, and then I had a Starbucks coffee with heavy cream because they have the sugar-free vanilla syrup, which I love, and and heavy cream. You don't have to just get half and half. So I'm feeling better now that it's 8 o'clock at night, but my stomach's been icky all day long and I haven't had any energy and I've been sleepy and I've been lazy. And so I've got to get back and be strict with my diet because I feel so much better when I am. And when I do that and not think about it, I feel great. So thanks to Dr. Boz and all you guys, because if I come to the support meetings, I feel much better. It's just those holidays that get me. So, but I'm back on track now.
Yeah, that's the thing, to stay consistently keto and not let, things like your daughter's birthday take you totally off the rails, and it would be okay if you could just eat one cookie,
I know.
but like so many of us, I'm with you. It's like, I don't want to eat one chocolate out of the box. I want the whole box, and it is an addiction. It is an addiction. And I think Dr. Boz named her class very appropriately, consistently keto, and the keto continuum. It goes from one end to another, and we just need to try and stay on it as best we can. And so, and it's a new year and a new day, and tomorrow's going to be better, and we just have to keep getting back up on that horse.
Yes, that's
And
true.
and we need not to beat ourselves up too very much, because then we're spending energy on beating ourselves up rather than on improving ourselves. So
Mhm.
spend the energy on improving, not beating yourself. I shouldn't eat them cookies.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I didn't beat myself up. I said, okay,
that's
I'm
good.
living life and I'm choice to do this.
Hmm.
And I'm going to be more careful because I know I feel better
Hmm.
when I'm careful.
Hmm.
And that's, I just, you have, I said to myself, well, I got to live life and this is this. And I just want to, first of all, I want to set an example
Hmm.
for my family
Hmm.
because I try to, I don't talk a lot about, I just try to show an example and they see that I'm the age I am and I'm active and I'm
Hmm.
generally healthy. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have heart disease. I had
Hmm.
breast cancer, but I beat it.
Hmm.
And I haven't had
Absolutely.
COVID. I mean, of course I've been vaccinated, but I haven't had COVID like a lot of people have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's when it is working for me. And before
Mhm.
Christmas, I was fasting. I had fasted 6 weeks in a row for 72 hours. And it
Mhm.
was pretty easy for me, just salt water and, salt and magnesium supplements and that kind of thing. So, but after eating carbs, I can't go into a fast because I will really get sick. And I don't think that's good for your body to try to I guess
No.
binge and purge or whatever you call it, where it
Yeah.
fast and then feast and
Yeah.
fast and feast. I don't, I have to get back into the fat adapt, fat adapted before I can fast again.
Mhm.
Otherwise I'll just feel awful and fall on my face.
Yeah. Jenny, you are very right. Dr. Boz does not suggest that when you've had a binge weekend or even a binge day, to go straight into a fast because you're not going to do well
Yeah.
and you're not going to feel well. So that's great, Jenny. We're all on this path with you, and we're gonna get through 2022 and do the best we can. So I'm gonna see if Patricia's uh, willing to share with us how her last year was and what she
Hey
wants to
guys,
maybe add or do different this year.
sorry I haven't been around for a few weeks. I did take Christmas and New Year's off. I had a lot of good times with my family. We went
Mhm.
up to Richmond, Virginia, where my daughter lives. And I did pretty well. Um, for the Christmas dinner, it was a beautiful smoked turkey.
Mm.
And then that was basically the only thing I could eat from everything that was on the table. And
Yeah.
they just kept passing me stuff. And I said, oh, thank you. I just kept passing it on.
Good for
And,
you.
but I have to admit, I did have a couple of glasses of wine. That was very hard, sitting hours and hours together and talking and everyone drinking wine. And I finally had a little wine, but I haven't had any wine for like 10 days now, so I'm all good. I'm
Mhm.
back. I'm back to the routine I was on before.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to talk about. I've mentioned a few times I want to get into fasting. And I've been with Dr. Boz's program for almost 3 years now. And, of course, she has the continuum, and the fasting doesn't really start until step 7 or 8 or 9 or somewhere. And, but I've been afraid of it. And it's a psychological thing. And Ginny, thank you for your sharing. I also go to a couple of other groups, and I'm just amazed by the number of people that are fasting almost every week. And so what I have heard recently, and somebody said, and then I heard Dr. Boz talk about it this week, is that if you don't think you can do the fast, do a sardine fast, which is, go as long as you can. And if you really feel like you're not going to make it another hour, have a can of sardines. Now, I understand some of you can't have sardines. I know that. But that's my plan for the coming year. I'm going to learn how to fast. Because I'm at that point, I need to lose another 50 pounds. And I'm doing great. Otherwise, my health is fine. My blood pressure is fine. I'm exercising 3 times a week at the Y. I'm going to the sauna at the Y 3 times a week. And I wanted to say one other thing. I think it's important to mention. My daughter-in-law was talking about, how she and my son were going to get, try to lose a few pounds. And I said, well, I was trying to tell her about the Dr. Boz program. I said, I've always offered this to you. She said, no, I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to go back to Weight Watchers. I like Weight Watchers and stuff. And then I started to explain to her that some of the benefit from Dr. Boz is that she explains a lot of the science, which I didn't have very good science in high school. I hardly had any biology at all. And so I was talking to my daughter-in-law about the cytokine storm. And my daughter-in-law actually works in a hospital. She's not a nurse, she's a child specialist. But she had never heard of a cytokine storm, and I was explaining to her about the white blood cells kicking in and the cytokines, things that Dr. Boz has taught us about how, the cytokines do their job. And then if your mitochondria is strong, they'll win. The cytokines will win the battle and things will settle down again. And it's the people that have that cytokine storm and their lungs get filled up with mucus and they can't win the battle. And so my daughter-in-law was looking at me like, how do you know all that stuff? And I said, well, this is from Dr. Boz. And I just want to say that thank God for Dr. Boz. I didn't have very good biology in high school, but I respect people that talk knowledgeably. And I was so tired of hearing people rattle off things that they only understood a little bit. But I respect Dr. Boz's explanation of things, and I can trust her. So trust is a big issue for me. So I just wanted to put another good word in for her.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Patricia, that Dr. Boz's easy explanation of what happens in the body when we eat carbs and how carbs are like little sticks that burn up fast, and we have to replace them, and the ketones burn so much slower. That's what hooked me. I mean, I started reading her book, Any Way You Can, because I wanted to learn about how it helped cancer patients and cancer survivors. That's why I wasn't looking for a weight loss program. I should have been, but I wasn't looking for one. And I was just blown away. I mean, I've told you all before, it was nearly a spiritual experience of enlightenment or something, because I was like, oh my goodness, I have to do this and nobody's going to stop me from doing this. And it was the science that brought me in. I'm not a scientist. I'm married to one, but I'm not a scientist. But I do have a logical mind, and I work in the natural healthcare field, and I have seen so many people struggle with hypertension and diabetes and liver problems and Alzheimer's and everything. And, I found that supplements don't fix it, and even exercise doesn't fix it. But I really believe in what Dr. Boz has taught us, and the science seems sound to me, and it really hit a place with me that I finally could commit to do this. I have never been a dieter. I've always been a fatty, but I've never been a dieter. There are people, oh, I did Weight Watchers. Oh, I did Jenny Craig. Oh, I did this. I did that. I wasn't one of those people. I thought they were all stupid things, and they were all fads, oh, let's all eat only grapefruit or something. Yeah, that's healthy. You know, so I never did all the fad diets, South Beach and Atkins and everything. I thought they were all cuckoo. In fact, I didn't know that Dr. Boz's book was about keto until I'm like 3 or 4 chapters in, you know, and I'm like, okay. But by the time I got to the chapter that was titled Fruit is Evil, and by the way, I really was like, this woman is nuts. Fruit is the best thing you can eat, and it helps your body. It's got all them antioxidants and vitamins and stuff. And I'm like, this lady better have a really good explanation for calling fruit evil, you know. But by the time I finished that chapter, I almost had no desire to ever eat fruit again. And it is tempting because it is sweet and tasty, but um no, I don't buy it and I don't eat it. But people look at me like I'm a purple monster with 10 eyes and fangs when I say fruit's evil. um and everything. But yeah, I'm very thankful for Dr. Boz and her class and her books, and I'm a disciple. And that's why I started this group, because um, more people need to know about the keto lifestyle and about the science that Dr. Boz has shared with all of us. And I need support to stay on the keto lifestyle, because the typical American lifestyle, especially around food and eating, is not healthy for me. My body cannot sustain that. My mother had Alzheimer's. My mother and father both had hypertension. My dad was a diabetic. My mom had heart disease and all sorts of other things. I don't want to live the life they lived. And I really wish I would have found keto 10 years ago. But you know what? I guess you come upon things when you're supposed to come upon things. So speaking of science, Dr. Hanson's around. Scott, can you tell us about how your keto journey was this last year and where you want to go this year? Now, for those who don't know my husband, he's a tall drink of water. He's 6'5" and he weighs 165 pounds. So keto was not about weight loss for him. And he didn't have the hypertension or the fatty liver or the diabetic, the blood sugars like me. And he's pretty healthy, but I'll let him tell his story.
Yeah, well, my keto journey in 2021 was a lot better than my keto journey in 2020, since I didn't really know about keto until early 2021, maybe late 2020, I don't know.
Yeah, it was November when I first told you about the book and told you to read it.
The other thing is, so I've got a PhD in biology, and for I don't know, a number of years, maybe 12 years or so, I actually taught the introductory anatomy and physiology course at the community college here, and in that book they don't, it's an introductory course, and so it's just the basic stuff, and they do mention that in terms of carbohydrates, you get 4 calories. You can get 4 calories of energy per I think gram of carbohydrate, whereas lipids are more like 9 calories of energy per gram of, I think it's gram, I forget, of lipid. And so they do mention that lipid is more energy dense than carbohydrate, but it doesn't really. And I think they do mention that in I'd have to go back and look because it's been a number of years, but I think the book does mention that in diabetes, when you get to the extreme levels, your blood will produce ketone bodies. And so I'd actually heard of ketone bodies, and so anyway, and ketoacidosis as well. but as far as cytokine storm, I don't think that's even mentioned in the book. I could actually look. I think I've got a version of it somewhere here at home. But you know, all of the science though that she goes through, you know, I mean, oh yeah, there's the that's the 2007 edition of the anatomy book I used to teach from. But anyway, so by the way, this coming spring semester, I'm going to be teaching the second semester of anatomy and physiology. So I'll be refreshing my memory on these things. So it was really interesting. The other thing is, I mean, from my understanding of biochemistry and things, you know, I could follow what she was saying, but I think I actually had to go through her book, you know, like 2 or 3 times. So it's the chapters where she really went deep into explaining the science of it and the biochemistry of it. I think I had to go through that like 2 or 3 times to make sure I caught, you know, understood all of the things she was saying. But you know, it all checks out though. You know, I mean, there are some, you know, there are some people who push this or that diet or this or that whatever, you know, and something that they say, you know, or how they explain it, you know that part, well, at least I can pick out, yeah, part of that is not really scientifically correct. And very unfortunately, very unfortunately, now in our society, they've gotten into this thing, oh, follow the science, you know, oh, and that is really unfortunate, because a lot of times currently in our society, quote unquote, science is being pushed and used as a billy club over people's heads, and it's not really science. And whenever, by the way, whenever anyone says the science is settled and there's no question at all, that is the time you know that that is not science. That is not science. Science is not in the business of saying, oh, all of the questions are answered now, and this is the cut and dried information, and this is the truth, and that's it. You know, no more discussion. I mean, when Einstein came along and showed that even time itself is flexible, you know, with his theory of relativity, that I think we should have realized that, yeah, there is nothing, quote, settled in science. The thing is, you know, political demagogues like to tell you that the science is settled so that they can control you and manipulate you. And so anyway, I think I've gone a little bit off on a tangent, but in science it's kind of fun to do that. But so yeah, it's really nice though that she goes into a really detailed explanation of the science behind her her methods and things, and the whole system and stuff. And I'd be really careful to tell anyone that fruit is evil. You know,
Yeah, I have
so
calmed
you can
down
say,
about that a little bit.
yeah, you can say that, you know, there are very few fruits. You can say that, you know, almost all fruits have have a lot of carb and actually very little nutrition. And you know, I talked about the chronometer program on the internet a few weeks ago. And if you type in almost any fruit in chronometer, it just doesn't have much nutrition in it. Now, those are the macronutrients. I mean, there could be some micronutrients like antioxidants and things like that, and yeah, that's fine. But the thing is, on keto, you're eating a lot of really healthy, unprocessed food, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of micronutrients in that healthy, unprocessed food that we're eating on keto. Another plug for spinach and collards. And sunflower
Unabashed plug
seeds.
for
Yes,
spinach,
right.
collards.
Yeah.
Yes. Not
And
a
sunflower seeds.
sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor. Yeah. Spinach, collards, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
So Scott, since you are not a person on keto for weight loss,
Right.
what have you found following the keto lifestyle this last year, what has changed for
Right.
you?
Well, and like I've mentioned before, I had a lot of gas pretty much my whole life. And my wife can attest to that.
Yes, I will.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of gas. And the thing is, the gas went away instantly once I went on to keto. And the other thing is, our daughter, Sarah, I mean, she's on actually partial keto. I forget roughly how many grams of carbs she has, maybe 50, 60 grams of carb per day. She's like semi-keto, we call it. But her acne cleared up right away.
Yeah, very quickly.
And that's telling you something. That is telling you something. The other thing is, I had bad breath, and I could gargle with gallons of mouthwash, as my wife
Oh, he just locked up.
get rid of the bad breath. And so it wasn't right. And so my bad breath was not, it was not being caused by bacteria that are in my mouth. Because I could pickle each and every bacteria in my mouth with gallons of mouthwash and
Listerine.
things. Right. And still I'd have bad breath. And so that means that the bad breath was coming from deeper down, the stomach, the esophagus, whatever, and that's a sign that something's not going right, and so, there were a lot of things. The other thing is, I mean, I feel more focused and I feel less stress, although those are, granted, those are things that are fairly hard to measure, I suppose. But, the other thing I like is that, I mean, you're a lot less susceptible to, dementia and what's that thing? Memory loss. Yeah, that's right. And, cancer and things like that. And so, I mean, that's the other thing is, every now and then I would, if I would do, I don't know, if I would do some sort of strenuous exercise, I don't know, shoveling snow or gardening or whatever in the mornings, I would actually feel shaky. And it's because I would eat a breakfast of nothing else but a bowl of cereal, granola. I just love granola. A bowl of granola with milk, maybe 2 bowls of granola, and also maybe some, French toast, which is just total carb, all carb, hardly anything but carb. And so, I think when I look back now, I think what it was is I would eat, at like 7 or 8 in the morning, I would eat a breakfast of total carb. I would do something strenuous, and about 11 or so, I would feel shaky. My blood sugar was obviously tanking. And it's because, hey, I ate nothing but carb for breakfast. I did a lot of some high energy activity. And then of course, the blood sugar is going to tank, and so, I mean, I was headed for diabetes, and with keto, I don't feel that at all. And a lot of days, I will actually not really eat a breakfast, and I won't eat anything until noon or 1 or 2 or so, and I feel fine. And I would not be able to do that before
Yeah.
keto.
Scott and I have been married for 36 years,
36,
right? Yeah,
36.
36.
Yeah,
Yeah, 36
85. You do
years.
the math.
And you do the math. Anyway, our whole married life, one thing I've always known about Scott is that he gets shaky. He has to eat on time and everything. He gets shaky. But one day I noticed that his eggs were sitting in a pan on the stove, his scrambled eggs. And I'm like, did you eat your breakfast? And he's like, oh no, I forgot. And I'm like, what? Because he's always been the one to get low blood sugars and be very shaky. And so keto has solved that problem. I mean, there have been times when he needed to do something, for work or church or the kids or something. And he was like, no, I can't. I have to eat. I'm too shaky. And I used to get to that point too, the little shakes problem, but I don't anymore either. So Melody has joined us. Welcome, Melody. And Julie, our other co-host, has joined us. Are you on call tonight, Julie?
Nope, just lost track of time.
Just lost track of time. It's okay. Um,
I'm
so
sewing, of course.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, you've been
Julie,
quilting, so you've lost track of time. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, Julie, tonight we're just discussing where our keto journey has taken us and where we want to go with it in 2022. We do have a couple of new people on. Well, actually, I think we have 3 people that are somewhat new to keto, and they're just listening tonight. So you want to share with us where your journey took you and where you want to go?
Oh boy, my journey has taken me to like the no shakiness Scott was just talking about, because I used to get shaky just like that, and I don't anymore. And I've tried to tell my coworker, if you get shaky because you run out of fuel using using your carbs, and she was like, "Oh, I have to eat, I have to eat." And I'm like, "Yeah, I used to be like that, but I'm not anymore." And I really do feel better. Most of the time, unless I let my salt get away from me and don't use enough electrolytes or something like that, I would like to continue to get my blood sugars down. They're not quite at 80 or below every morning, which is kind of frustrating because stevia does something to my blood sugars, even though it's not supposed to. If I use stevia, you can guarantee they're in the 90s, if not a little bit into the hundreds. So, which is not very fair compared to people that can just use them and never have it affect their blood sugar. Maybe there's not very many people that are like that, but I have found other things that can trigger. Even monk fruit will raise my blood sugar and lower my ketones actually. So I'm pretty much on the bandwagon of not using any artificial sweeteners as well. I wanted to get better health in 2022. I'm hoping to get down to my goal weight, sorry. I probably only have to what I wanted for my goal. I have about 8 pounds left. Compared to what my BMI says, I probably have about 28 pounds to go, but it is what it is. I really like the benefits of not having joint pain. My knees used to hurt all the time. Every time I'd walk, it was just like bone on bone, creaking and cracking and going downstairs and upstairs. And now I don't have that, except for my twisted ankle that I'm finally getting over, but it's still, I twisted it good going down the stairs for a call one day. But that's even healed up quite nicely and quickly for as bad as it got. I think pretty much the tendon got tore. But yeah, I need some boosting. Scott was talking about the bad breath. My daughter's husband, she said he no longer has bad breath either since starting keto. And I don't know about body odor so much for others, but I hardly have any body odor at all anymore. I don't know. It's just different. It's hardly need to use deodorant at all, which is kind of interesting. I find the benefits outweigh the carbs. It's just telling your brain that.
Yeah,
And
that's the problem.
telling your brain you don't need to eat at 9 o'clock at night just because you're bored, or, well, it seems like this thing to do, so why not? It's keto food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found it's definitely a journey. It's definitely not something you get on, jump off, and get on and jump off, because one day off and you pay the price for it, it seems.
Okay,
Either
well,
with pain
thanks,
or
Julie.
inflammation.
Yeah, pain, inflammation, bloating, nausea. not fun. So Wilma or Tammy or Renee, would you like to share? And then we'll take whatever questions and we'll go.
Well, if they won't volunteer, I will.
Okay.
You and I had a talk the other day, and we were, I got so tickled because I hadn't weighed myself since Christmas because I figured I was gonna, be going, oh, okay, here we go again. I wasn't a really good girl. I kind of went off the wagon. I didn't go crazy off the wagon, but I knew I hadn't really eaten the correct way because I wasn't feeling really great. But I was like, okay, I'm not going to weigh right now. I'm going to go back into my keto pattern and do what I'm supposed to do. And then I'll weigh myself. And I was so excited because as of now, I've lost a total of, I think we were talking 85 pounds. Thank you.
Yay!
Woo! I started off
Right.
at 345. And so basically I'm looking at it this way. I have about 120 pounds more that I want to lose. I would love to see all of that gone this year, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And that's one of the things that has changed with my keto lifestyle is I haven't made my weight loss a rigid factor. When I would go on any other form of weight loss regime, whether that was with dieting or exercise or whatever that way was to lose weight, I always said, okay, I've got to lose this much weight and it's got to be in this amount of time. And I let go of that. And when I let go of that stress, it seemed like, especially on the keto, I was like, oh, wait, I can do this because, I don't have to do it at a certain pace. And I do this fun little dance program. If you want to get some fun exercise in, I'm sorry, this is going to be a shameless plug. And no, I'm not a sponsor, but I love this program called Body Groove. And the gal who does it, Misty Tripoli, is an absolute hoot. But she'll tell you, the old phrase, no pain, no gain is a load of horse pucky. And I agree with her because pain is our body's way of telling us, don't do that anymore. But see, keto's the same way. There's not a point where you go in and someone is looking over your shoulder saying, well, you didn't do that right. You are your own guide and everything. So just quickly, because I know we're going to run out of time, but I was writing down some notes while everyone else was talking because it made me think of things. A couple of things that have happened, and I don't know if y'all can see my neck or not, how well you can see with my camera. This is my scar from having my neck fused last year. But this whole area from here all the way over here, you notice it's fairly clean except for right here. This was, and I'm not kidding, guys, it was covered in skin tags, absolutely covered in skin tags. And I don't know when they started to fall off. I don't know when they fall off, except for once. And I was like, oh, no, that's creepy. All my skin tags have come off. I was scratching one day. I was like, what is that? And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I was kind of excited because they were gone.
Mhm.
But okay, my kids and my friends, especially when I was pregnant, but it has stayed on when I've gotten really heavy set, was that I used to be accused of having Barney Rubble ankles.
Oh, man.
If you've ever seen the Flintstones, Barney's ankles, his legs just kind of went from leg to foot. And so there was this huge, there was no distinctive ankles. I have ankles now, guys. That's impressive. And here's the one my friend in Tulsa was mentioning to me. Guys, I hate to admit this, but I could peel the paint off your walls for you. So if you ever needed your paint peeled, just give me a call and I'd snore and the paint would peel off your walls. Well, because of keto, apparently I don't snore anymore. That's
Great.
and I think that's because of the weight loss here around my neck. I've started walking just recently. I'm working. I've got a knee issue, so I have not been able to walk, especially when I was overweight. But because of I've got to go in and get my knee. Hopefully I won't have to do it too bad. Hopefully all I have to do is go in a roto-rooter it. But I hadn't been able to walk, and I was really excited. I was telling Elizabeth the other day that I'd walk 3 days in a row at this little park across from my house. And so that's a big way, yippee. Also, and not to try and say TMI, but when you're heavy set, especially for women, we get this little panel at our bellies. It's called an apron. And that fold of skin, a lot of times for many people will get infections, get itchy. And I used to get terrible yeast infections in there. I mean, I could take a bath every day and get yeast infection. And those have become almost non-existent. So, and I think that's because the keto, I've lowered the amount of sugars on what in Chinese medicine we call your wei qi. My surface skin is now got a better immunity to it. Just two other big things, and then I'll be quiet, Miss Becky. But you know, my big thing is I went to visit my doctor recently, and I have, if you don't know what this is, white coat syndrome. White coat syndrome, you walk in the doctor's office and all of a sudden you have blood pressure that you've never had before, that's like through the roof. You know, your pulse is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And I went in and she actually, thank you, Virginia. I went in and she took my blood pressure and she goes, let me take that again. I'm like, well, it's normally a little high when I come in because I've got white coat syndrome. She goes, no, you don't understand. That's in your file to normally take it twice because it's high. Your blood pressure is normal. What's your normal blood pressure? And so I told her what it was, and she's like going, oh my God, that's amazing. And then the last thing is, I am a practitioner of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And there is no one in my field who is, at least in the state of Oklahoma, who's fluent in Chinese or in sign language. And so I have decided that I want to become so fluent that I can start addressing and helping our deaf community. And so I've started to find I can learn things easier. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Now, Tammy, you had unmuted yourself, so I think you have something to say.
Well, and I'll put my video on while I talk because I've been
Okay.
kind of multitasking and working
Yeah.
on my home computer here. You know, I started the year pretty good. I had ended last year, you know, still following, and I think I always mess it up at Christmas. So besides Christmas, and I started the year pretty good, and I got to 160 pounds, which is the lowest I've been as an adult for a long time. And so then you're just coasting along, and then you eat more carbs and you still weigh 160, and you kind of get lax on your things because you didn't gain weight when you went off. And so my last 2 to 3 months have been really lax. Of course, I messed it up at Christmas again, and I have not been on the scale, but not because I haven't tried, but I have a smart scale and it said, oh, you have to do the setup thing on it. And I'm like, and I haven't taken the time to do the setup. And I wasn't going to weigh for a while anyway, because I was going to try and get back down. But I do got to get my scale working, and then I'll see what the damages are. And then I do really want to try and right now I'm trying to do 90 days of the best I can. It's not going to be perfect because, but my scale will tell me if I need to do better or not. And I think I've talked to, have I talked about sleep problems? I've had a lot of sleep problems for the last 2 years or so. And when I increased my carbs in the last maybe 2 or 3 months, my sleep problems have kind of gone away. Now, is that related to eating more carbs, or is it just gone away because it did? So I don't know, but if I find out that my sleep problems were caused by low carbs and went away when I ate higher carbs, I'm gonna have to eat higher carbs. I've had really bad sleep problems. I've got sleeping pills. I would take stuff every night for more than a year, and I just can't live with sleeping problems like I've had.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I go back low carb and get down in ketosis of a high number, and I know that I'm in ketosis and my carbs are low, and I start having sleep problems, it's going to be an issue for me. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
I read a book, can't remember the name of it. It's something like Ending the Low Carb Mystery or something or another like that. It's,
Confusion
yeah, something like that.
with Dr. Westman.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Westman.
I've read that. And I'm gonna
Oh,
go
did
see him
you?
next month. Next month, I'm gonna
Oh,
go see him.
excellent. Yeah, because you know, with Scott not needing to lose weight, but me being convicted that keto lifestyle was the healthier way to go, I knew he probably didn't need to drop down to 20 carbs. And so then I read that book. Yeah, that's the one. And so I read that book, and you may be right. I mean, maybe Tammy needs 30 carbs. Maybe she needs 40, you know. Um, I think Scott stays in the 30 to 50 carb range most days. Is that right?
You know, I'm gonna have to get on to Chronometer and measure that again, because I don't really remember.
Yeah. At one time it was between the 30 and 50.
Okay.
Our daughter, Sarah, who's autistic, we slowly brought her into keto because she had a number of problems, her acne, her constipation, which has improved, her sleep, her hyperactivity and stuff, things have improved. And she's lost weight as well.
Yeah, her general weight, yeah,
Yeah, I think she's lost like 20, 25
about
pounds.
20, right, yeah.
Yeah. And but like Scott said, she eats a higher level of carbs than I do. And that only makes sense that there are some people that can deal with higher numbers of carbs. Now, if you're borderline diabetic, if you have hypertension, you probably are not one of those people. Okay, you probably need the lower carb number, especially if you are borderline diabetic. And so I wouldn't, you know, I know I can't go to a higher carb level. If I get up to 30 a day, my blood pressure starts to creep. If I get up to 30 a day, my blood sugars creep up. Now, are they horrendous? No, they're not horrendous. I don't get 150 blood sugar or something like that, but they're definitely 99, 101, you know. And I know that my body needs to be at the 20 level. And if you're just starting a keto lifestyle, it's best to try and stay to the 20 until you lose some weight and you get your blood pressure and blood sugars under control, and then you can play with it. And see, like Tammy has realized that she has some sleep issues, and maybe they're carb related, maybe they aren't carb related, but she's experimenting, you know, to see what happens. And that's the way to do. You know, don't change anything except for your carb level and see if you sleep better or if this problem goes away or that problem goes away without gaining weight, or without your blood pressure going up or without your blood sugars going up. But even with a blood sugar of 95 to 100, you're still okay blood sugar wise. And so if that's where you have to maintain your blood sugar at 30 carbs rather than have it down in that 70, 80 range at 20 carbs, then that's going to be what Tammy has to do. And so, yeah, good. Now, it's a few minutes after 8. And does anybody have any pressing questions or anything they just gotta share before we leave?
I just have, do you have a Facebook page? Because I've never been on it.
Yes.
Or do you have your own Facebook page?
Well, I have several. I have
You
one
have
for
one for
my,
this group?
yes, I have one for this group. It's called Keto Confab. And
No, but I've been there. I have
yeah,
something I want to talk about, maybe, so I'll give you an idea.
okay.
Okay,
And then I have my
I
own.
might be on it.
Okay. I have my own personal page, and then I have a page for my business, which is Health and Life Center. They're all on Facebook. You can find them. And so, just, direct message me and we'll be friends. Um, and so, yeah. Anybody else? Otherwise, you can send me messages on Keto Confab, or if you happen to be a friend on Facebook with me, or through the neurons, I guess. When I put up the meeting, it gives the meeting a page, and you can always put questions on there or whatever. So
Yeah,
anyway,
that's where I go and get the link is off the Neurons page
yeah.
every week.
Now,
All right.
the link is going to be the same until the last week of March, and then that's going to end this group of 13 meetings, and then we're going to take a week break, and then I'll do another 12 or 13 depending on where it is. And Easter is mid-month April, but since we meet on a Wednesday, I'll probably just keep the Wednesday meeting even the week of Easter and the week after. And yeah, it's another holiday that involves food and candy. Ugh, my favorite. Can't wait.
Hey, if y'all don't see me once in a while, it's not that I don't want to be here, but I'm running 3 businesses. So
Yeah.
see me on a Wednesday, I'm probably too swamped to know where if I'm coming or going.
Yeah. If I don't send Renee the link, she forgets because she's too busy.
Me
So,
too.
yeah, I know you, Julie. I got you.
I appreciate it too, because it is a
Yeah.
reminder. Sometimes I've had to say, I can't make it tonight.
Yeah, and that's okay. There's, you do what you can do with your life, So
Hey,
anyway,
Becky, I did want to give you a compliment.
Hmm.
I don't know about the rest of you, if you're church going or not, but if I miss church, I feel like my week's kind of jacked up because I don't know what day of the week is, number one. Number two, when I miss this meeting now, I'm like feeling all screwed up because it's like, oh, I've missed a meeting and I don't know what to do with my week. You
yeah,
got me hooked.
you're hooked, man. You're hooked. That's good. Jenny, you're unmuted. Did you want to say something?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. It's so nice to be with everybody and talk about and listen. And I learn so much every time. And Renee, I go to church on Thursday nights, so Wednesday's perfect for me. And I agree with you. When I miss Thursday night church or Sunday night church or Sunday morning, I have no idea what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a routine, and it's we have to have routine, but we have to have a little leeway every once in a while too.
Mhm.
But I like the meetings a lot for sure.
Yeah. I missed it last week when we didn't have one. And I'm like,
I know, me
man.
too.
And when I was setting up this group of 13 that takes us through March, I was like, man, do I really want to take a break that first week of April? And I'm like, I probably should take a break just to have an evening where I don't have a meeting, because I have been doing a class on Monday nights, and so it's been Monday and Wednesday, and with work and family and everything, it just gets busy when every night gets scheduled, so anyway. All right. You can get a hold of me on Facebook or whatever, and I'm going to end the recording here, and I'll be posting this in a little while, and we will meet again next week. Everybody go out there and have a good week, and just keep remembering your why. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.